All right, lesson 1.9, page 23, complements, objects of verbs. Yesterday we talked about subject complements, now objects of verbs. We'll talk about direct and indirect objects in this lesson, but let's review yesterday's. Subject complement is a word or group of words that follows a linking verb and renames or describes the subject. The movie was awesome. Movie is our subject, was is the linking verb, awesome is your subject complement, and to break that down even further, we would call that a predicate adjective because it's describing the movie. Two types of subject complements: predicate noun. New York is the largest city in the USA. New York is the subject, is the verb, and city is the predicate noun. New York seems very busy. New York is the subject, seems is the verb, busy is the predicate adjective. Objects of verbs. So a direct object is a word or group of words that names the receiver of the action, answers the questions who, what, or whom. If you remember, when we talk about subjects and predicates, we're asking questions as well. Who or what is the sentence about? Will tell us the subject. What about? The subject answers the verb. Okay, now we're answering questions what or whom. So look at the example. Many residents ride bikes. Our subject is residents. Our verb or predicate is ride. And then what do they ride? Or ride what? They ride bikes, which would be our direct object. New Yorkers take the subway. Our subject is New Yorkers. What's the verb? It's take. What do they take? The subway would be your direct object. It's just asking yourself a series of questions to figure out what each part of the sentence you're trying to figure out would be. Indirect objects, word or group of words that tells to whom or what, or for whom or what, an action is performed. So it's just got a little bit more complicated. Buses offer people easy commutes. What's the subject? Buses. What's the verb? Offer. What do buses offer? Commutes. They don't offer people. Okay, they offer commutes. The indirect object is people, because that's answering to whom do they offer the commutes to. So you really need to read the whole sentence, think logically about what it's saying, because it's not saying that buses offer people. That wouldn't make sense. It's offering commutes to people. Notice that the indirect object is after the verb, but before the direct object. Okay, keep that in mind. The conductor hands us our change. Okay, so let's go through again. Conductor is the subject. Verb is hands. What does he hand? Change, which would be your direct object. To whom does he hand the change? To us. Us would be the indirect object. Again, notice the indirect comes between the verb and the direct object. A sentence can have a direct object without an indirect object. If a sentence has an indirect object, it must have a direct object. Okay, so those two sentences popped up backwards, but if a sentence, looking at the top bullet, if a sentence has an indirect object, it must have a direct object as well. But a sentence can have a direct object without an indirect object, which we saw when we were looking at just direct objects. So, to practice, write the objects of the sentences and identify as IO, meaning indirect object, or DO, direct object. But think about what I just said. If you have an IO, you're going to have a DO as well. Okay, so on your paper, this is what you're going to write. The sentence is going to pop up in just a minute. And here's an example. Most city dwellers cherish their urban parks. You don't have to write down the subject and the verb, but we can go through it. City dwellers would be the subject. What do? They cherish. What do they cherish? Parks. So that's your direct object. To whom or what would be your indirect, and that's not in there, okay? There is no to whom or what. So you're not going to answer the indirect object because there isn't one. So you just on your paper write down parks, DO. Here are those sentences to practice. I believe there are just 4 of them. Okay, so go ahead and answer on your paper, identifying the indirect and or direct objects in each of the sentences. We're going to do some more practice tomorrow in class. Have a great night.